Megyn Kelly is not doing well. Now, health-wise, she's fine, so don't worry. But she's not doing well when it comes to daytime television. I'll give you an example. So Megyn Kelly is now hosting Megyn Kelly Today. Not the Today Show, but it is very confusing for people like Deborah Messing, who had no idea that she was going on the Megyn Kelly version of Today. And so guests are not happy about appearing on her show. Her ratings aren't doing so well. And this comes after another failed show that she did after Fox News. So poor ratings and even worse publicity for Sunday Night with Megyn Kelly. The limited series was scrapped 2 episodes before it was supposed to end, thanks in part to widespread criticism of Kelly's softball interviews of Putin and Alex Jones.
By the way, maybe it was initially going to be softball on the promo that they did with Alex Jones. I mean, who let that happen is beyond me, of them in the car goofing around. But I was not on the show for any of these times, but the re-edited interview, they clearly went in and redid it. And what came out of it was, I thought, fairly reasonably tough when all was said and done.
I'm going to defend Megyn Kelly in a second, so keep going.
So the cast of Will and Grace went on Megyn Kelly's show, and Deborah Messing, who's one of the stars of that show, didn't expect Megyn Kelly to be the host. She didn't realize what was going on, and then she regretted it and talked about how much she regretted it on social media because Megyn Kelly had said something pretty insensitive about the gay community on this very show. Kelly managed to make things weird when she flippantly referred to homosexuality as, quote, the gay thing, while sharing a stage with a group of queer people and their allies. So the strange gay thing interaction led to Deborah Messing saying in a comment on one of her Instagram posts that she didn't even know that Megyn Kelly was the host until she arrived, and that she regretted appearing on the show, and that she was dismayed by Kelly's comments. Okay.
It was a peculiar interview. I mean, her gay line was weird, but I don't think it. I think it was an attempt at a inclusive joke.
So look, I think if you just look at that as an isolated case, I hear you. Like it would not raise a red flag at all for me. Okay, she said the gay thing. You know, you're speaking off the cuff. Maybe something comes out and it doesn't sound right. But then you have to take that in the context of Megyn Kelly and all the horrendous things she said about gay people on Fox News. You know who she is. Like just because she's on daytime television now and it's an NBC show doesn't mean that you erase.
Did she say terrible things about gay people?
She did. John Oliver actually had like a really funny mashup of all the terrible things she said when she was on Fox News in his last episode.
But about gay people, really, it was included in there.
I don't remember specifically that montage including her comments about the gay community, but she has, she's defended the businesses that want to discriminate against gay people and not, bake them wedding cakes and all that stuff. She's been very conservative on that issue.
Sure.
So look, I don't agree with Megyn Kelly's politics, but I think that and Anna makes a great point about, well, context does matter, but they are really looking to nitpick everything she's doing. So look here, on this particular issue, I'm a little biased because I've said something equally awkward to Kevin Spacey. If you remember when we worked down in Miami, Ben.
I know, but you were this like inexperienced, like red carpet reporter. It was like the beginning of your career. You had no idea what you were doing. You didn't have like this, gigantic portfolio of shitty comments.
Right, I hear you, and I had no hostility towards the gay thing. Okay, nor did I believe that Santa must be white. Okay, all right, but Deborah Messing, it's also a little on you to know the show that you're going on. So this excuse of like, I didn't know Megyn Kelly Today was hosted by Megyn Kelly.
Yeah, but I think first of all, we have no idea, but Deborah Messing is busy and a big star, and
the name of the show is
still Today. This you're going on the Today Show.
Whatever. So like, I mean, it seems like a weak sauce excuse afterwards.
I agree. It seems like I think that what she said is likely true, that she didn't know, and I think it's also weak sauce. Like, so what? So what? Like, it wasn't the worst thing in the world to go.
No. I'm totally going in the opposite direction from you guys, okay? Like I get it. Again, let me reiterate, if this was just isolated, she hadn't been doing Fox News Channel, I hear you and I would defend her. However, like isn't it frustrating that she said all the things that she said on Fox News for years and years, and then oh, who cares? All of that's just gonna be erased. And miraculously now you get to host a daytime television show on NBC as if you're not like the hateful person that you are.
But okay, that gets to the heart of this thing, and we'll get to more of her so-called screw-ups in a second. But I'm not saying that nobody's at fault here. TV is at fault, not just NBC, but TV, because it's so damn fake. Okay, we knew Megyn Kelly's conservative, we know it, but now we're gonna put her in a new show and a new network, and now she's not conservative anymore, she's milquetoast, she's in the middle, and she's just gonna play it, without any politics. No, if you're gonna hire Megyn Kelly, let her be conservative. And let her do whatever show she wants, okay? Because by the way, you'll get more of an audience that way. Instead, you're making her do something that's totally fake. That's why, if at all, the ratings are down. So
I don't even know if that would increase her ratings. I think
it's not the right channel for it. That's why when she left Fox News, I predicted, once again accurately, sorry, but it's true, that of course it wouldn't be successful on NBC. You have to match the right person for the right channel.
Yeah.
And so this idea of like, oh, she did okay in that context, hence she'll be a great Today Show host. It's so stupid and old.
We're taking a Fox talent who was, by the time she left Fox, arguably unpopular at Fox.
Oh,
right?
really?
Sure,
because
because
you're right.
as always, and that gets to and then asking those Fox viewers to come over to NBC, who they consider to be part of the giant left-wing media. So I think she had to find a totally new audience, an audience that would already be watching, some of whom, if they weren't watching Fox, probably don't agree with her. Then to Cenk's point, which is true, is that she's like saying, oh, I'll do anything, I don't want to talk about politics. There should be a respite from politics, and many journalists are Trump obsessed, she said, which again, if you're about to be a journalist, probably not what you should be saying about other journalists covering arguably the most corrupt and most dangerous president we've had.
Or just covering a president.
Just covering a president, right? A president who doesn't want to be covered and makes covering him hard. That is not what a journalist does. So I think she made a mistake there. The other thing that
none of this is journalism.
Right. The other thing that we do is you get a conservative to have a moment where they're not a lunatic, and we're like, hey, what bravery! Amazing, right? And to some extent, that's what happened with Megyn Kelly. I don't know her politics, and the fact is she took on Trump in the debate, and she didn't flinch, and she rose far above the Fox bar, And I think she's an excellent broadcaster. She was good at broadcasting at that show. But we elevated her because she was one of the people on Fox who didn't rant and rave like a lunatic, even though, as you'll point out, there were many instances where she said things that would make your jaw drop. But she wasn't Sean Hannity, and she wasn't Bill O'Reilly, and she wasn't Lou Dobbs, right?
It's a low bar.
Right, it's a low bar, but she cleared it so easily. So
all right.
I think those are all the mistakes that we make with this.
So one of the other issues was when Jane Fonda was on to promote a new movie that she's in, and I guess Ann Coulter, Megyn Kelly asked her about her plastic surgery. Jane Fonda didn't like that. I don't really care about that.
She gave the side eye to her, and everybody's like, got her.
Yeah.
Well, look, it's arguably a tough question, and it's a little awkward, and she gave her that stare at. Yeah, but. Hey, that's.
She seems happy and she's fine.
No, and of course, Fonda later said it was an inappropriate question in that context. She said, look, I've done plastic surgery and I acknowledge it. It's not something that I hide at all. It's just, Robert Redford's sitting next to me. We're talking about the movie. It's not the appropriate time. I don't agree with Jane Fonda. I like her politics. I don't like Megyn Kelly's politics. But I think that when is an appropriate time?
By the way, it's daytime television. If ever there was a time to talk about plastic surgery, it's daytime television.
Here, I'll be the person. I disagree with both of you. No, you want to bring her on, talk about plastic surgery. You have a long form interview about her life. They bring on. By the way, Jane Fonda's 80. She looks like that. Yeah, she's had she's had plastic surgery, and great plastic surgery.
Yeah, she has. I want to know who she was.
But they wouldn't ask a guy,
No, they might ask a guy. Why not? I'd ask Vladimir Putin. She should have asked Putin. She had Putin on too. Then it would have been fair. That dude's had surgery.
By the way, she's 79. So again, I interview the celebrities like this, and that's not. If you had 2 hours, then maybe you'd get to it. You don't get to it in a 8-minute interview.
I just hate getting into the business of what someone should ask and what they shouldn't ask, right? Like what's appropriate and what's inappropriate.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
Of course, she gets to ask it, but guess what? You're going to get snapped at, and it's going to create an awkward moment that is not good TV. It's actually awkward TV. It depends. Some of those are good moments. I would say probably not.
All right, now final thing, and I think this actually added to the quality of the show. There was a mishap with one of the cameramen during one of the episodes. We have a video of it. Let's take a look.
A whirlwind, but I think what's been most fascinating is that a whirlwind, but I think what's been most fascinating is that it.
Who said?
The cameraman, because he realized he was in the shot. Oh. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. It's fun, but come on, that's not on Megyn Kelly. She didn't make the cameraman.
No, they're in the first week of blocking a show.
Yeah,
it's no problem.
No, but here is what I do think is on Megyn Kelly. So she also addressed her ratings or addressed the criticism, and this is what she said. I just want to take a moment to thank all of you for watching this week. It's been educational. I've just been so delighted that the media response, which has really been no, the viewer response has been awesome, and I'm so grateful to have all of you giving us a chance. Like, I'm kind of tired of everyone who gets any type of criticism bitching and whining and crying about the media. Everything's the media's fault, right? Like the fire chief who decided to use the N-word on Facebook to refer to NFL players who refused to stand during the national anthem. It's not his fault that he used the N-word and then was forced to resign. It's the media's fault. No, it's not the media's fault. Take some freaking responsibility for your actions. Same with Megyn Kelly. And by the way, it's not as serious with Megyn Kelly, but your ratings suck. They're not good.
Well, first of all, look, I saw that actual clip, and she was cute. I thought she was like, because she was like a joke. She was saying, I'm so delighted, and the media, no, and the audience laughed. She was like saying, yeah, I know the media gave me a hard time, and then she was like, I'm just grateful for all of you, thank you. And her ratings are very comparable. They're down 4% in audience, down 11% in the news demo from the same time last year, the exact same day last year. But that was the day of the Trump-Clinton debate, and everything in news was massively, massively spiked. So her numbers are very consistent. And we don't know. We'll find out in months whether people are interested in going to NBC and watching Megyn Kelly. I think Cenk.
Yeah, to be fair, I really think the media is nitpicking. So she did a softball interview with Lyle Menendez too. That's the charge. And she asked, like, was there joy in your life? Whatever. I don't know, man. The guy's in prison. That's not that crazy a question. So, and by the way, I got news for you. The rest of the media does giant softball interview after softball interview. So, like, now you realize there's softball interviews on NBC. So cry me a river on that.
Yeah, I'm with you, and the difference with Alex Jones, because that was a news magazine show, right? And that's why the world came down on her, because Alex Jones is the ear of the president. Lyle Menendez, hey man, he locked up. We know he did it. That case is settled. There's no really tough question to ask Lyle Menendez.
Yeah,
right?
like, did you do it?
Well, yeah, the more interesting thing is
in prison for the rest of my life.
How's your life in prison? Like that, if you want to interview him, that's what the interesting thing is. So,
yeah.
And I think she's an excellent broadcaster. I do. So,
wow, like love fest happening.
No. I just think tactically, she's good at being a broadcaster. Like literally, it's a hard job. Not everybody can do it, and she has a deafness to her.
I just think all these TV guys are so useless. They're reading from their prompters and stuff. Look,
don't knock that.
Oh, I hear you, brother. Okay, but like these general we hired her because she has a great smile. Oh yeah. Okay, so
I'll give her that. She does have a great smile.
She does have a great smile. Yeah. That's true. Look at that.
Okay, so look. And her thanking your audience, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. Her saying that the audience response has been terrific is just that's not really true because the ratings are down. Again, good context as to why the ratings might be down, but you can't say no, the audience has been great to me.
We have no sample size. We'll find out in months whether there's successful and what counts as successful now in the world of TV is you need a much smaller number to be successful.
Yeah. So. Yeah, she's conservative, and that's, you make of that whatever you like, and I don't like, okay? But, and I think that people are nitpicking her a little bit. And I think what they accuse of her of the mainstream media does all the time in other contexts as well. So if I was NBC, I'd just let her be whoever she is, and that might turn out to be a more loathsome show, but probably better rated. It's just because it'll be more genuine. If you like this video, you'll love the whole TYT network. Check it out at tytnetwork.com/join.